So it's still in the final process of wrapping up this whole festival thing. I I was what was it? I had such a good time, and so I really wanted to be involved in those types of gatherings that happen again, and so I looked into it. Found the person who was kind of facilitating the whole experience, and reached out, and I just said, I said, hey, added as a friend on Facebook. I was like, you know what, I would love to be friends. And I said to this person, I was like, I was not on my best behavior when I went there, and I recognized that. And but I really enjoyed but I learned from the experience, and I would really enjoy coming to other things like that. I was super nervous just because it's been so long. I don't know, it's something, I get cold feet when it's like going to a thing, even though it's like where like a really beautiful thing. I don't know, cold feet's a funny thing. And yeah, it was really nice, and she reached back and said, hey, no problem, just you got to remember, there's certain things that you got to remember. And it's like, it's funny because it was like stuff that I could say that I know, but they say it's like you don't know it unless you're doing it. So there's one thing to be aware, and there's another thing to know. And so that was a part of that, but really great. And then so I went to go publish my video. I managed to remove the copyrighted material, but in the process, so I have music production software. I make all of my own beats for my YouTube videos, and that I've never used anything pre-made. But this one, because I had like a backlog of videos, I have the ability to use certain patterns that are included with the software that I use, which I am licensed for and I've paid for. And so I used one of these patterns, and then YouTube flagged it as a copyright infringement. But I think that the whole thing, I disputed it, because I do believe that the whole thing will kind of just blow over, because I have just as much right to use that pattern in the way that I did from that expansion pack, in the same way that somebody else used it, and then that's why it's gets flagged, gets picked up. It's almost like YouTube Shazams what you're playing, and so that's the funny thing. It comes to the topic of the day, which is the algorithm. And so, because I suppose, that's what it is, it runs your video, the audio, and that kind of stuff through an algorithm. It's picking up, looking for certain things. And so like the idea of an algorithm, specifically a human algorithm, has been a interesting subject or concept for me for some period of time. And that is because I have had certain people that I've been around for extended periods of time, say for years, and I noticed over a long time of knowing these some people, that it's like everything that they say is wrong, and like just across the board, like no matter what comes out of this person's mouth, it is always like, it makes you go, what? And so it's like, what I boiled it down to was that this person, and I've met a number of people like this, is that their algorithm is wrong. So it's like, what is an algorithm? It's like what you're picking up on, kind of what you latch onto, what you're listening for. Like a person who likes to make puns, they're always listening for something. They're just listening so that they can make a joke afterwards. They're not really trying to understand. It's kind of just, it's all about themselves, and being getting that attention and whatnot, being hilarious. And so like some people, when they listen to, because it's like to do with sifting through information to extrapolate certain things, elements, and to like, so you focus on certain things, and it's kind of like the outlook, the perspective that you use to decipher whatever is coming your way, whether it's life events or a story that you heard or just something. It's you say, okay, well, da 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 da, and you believe that it's this. For some people, it's everything's a conspiracy theory. For some people, it's they take it to like a low, more like a bathroom humor level. For some people, it's the puns. For me, I go with it's always to do with the spiritual or philosophy. Say like when it was that whole thing with, without going into other stuff, but it's an interesting thing, and so I guess I just kind of got used to this whole thing with saying, it's like, or it's interesting to propose to somebody. It's like, do you ever wonder why whenever you say things, like the angle that you're coming from it's like it's twisted. You're coming from wherever the place is. So what I do believe it is to do with projection. So it's like a lot of people are in their egos, which is essentially your mind. It's what you think and believe and that kind of stuff. And so it's like some people, I feel like they're always under the impression that everybody's working an angle because they're working an angle. It's like, oh, that guy's so nice, he must be deceiving, because nobody's that nice, nobody's that genuine, or like, that kind of thing. So it's like, so they're weary of it. So it's a funny thing, this whole, but it's not like that, there are. But of course, at the same time, it's tough because a lot of people are like that. They are very much working angles. They're doing something. They're getting at something. They're maybe beating around a bush. Like there is something going on. It's not straightforward, upfront, genuine, that kind of thing. And so it's easy to think that other people are behaving in that way as well. Kind of like it's always about like what you can get. Oh, this person did it. It was that thing with Will Smith and like and Chris Rock there, and like there are these conspiracies. It's like, oh well, Will Smith did it just for this, and it's just like, when you sit down and you break it, like did it for some very basic reason, like just for for attention or for money or because somebody was sponsoring this, it's just like without actually sitting down and examining the factors that are really at play, and people start just kind of assuming things. That's why there's this beautiful thing, Occam's razor, which is when dealing with competing hypothesis, always go with the solution that uses the fewest possible assumptions. Or in other words, go with what you know instead of like going way out into left field and just like making things up. I think also it's also somewhat called a certain way of looking at the world, a first principles way of looking at the world. Like you can base your understanding off of kind of assumptions, or you can go specifically with what you know and build from there, from the ground up, and look at the facts, look at what is available and what makes sense. So just an interesting thing, the algorithm. I don't suppose I have a whole lot else to say about that. There was one other thing that I wanted to share though, which was like about this whole thing about stepping into bigger shoes. You know, I just wanted to finish it off. It's like you know, because it's like about having room to grow. It's a funny thing. So like I grow these plants right here. This is Chlorophytum cosmosum, also known as a common name as a spider plant. It's like, you know, I think, but with many plants, I mean, if you have, say, a number of them in a single pot, then they get squished in there and they can't grow, they don't flourish, there's just no room for them to breathe. But if you take the time to get them out and then you break them apart and then give them a space where they can spread out and actually have room to grow, then they flourish. And it's just kind of interesting, you know, not interesting, but like funny, because it's the exact same plant. And it's, I feel like it, you know, it's like that with us. I noticed that with my feet. It's like, you know, you wear shoes that are too small, too much, or they're cramped in there, it like has an effect. But if you allow yourself room to breathe, you know, things happen more naturally, and, you know, you're able to just, grow and evolve and spread out. So, yeah, it's just a beautiful metaphor, I think. So I wanted to finish that one up, and I hope you enjoyed it. Peace.